Okay. Um, After getting back last night and then having the team meeting this morning, just to reflect a couple things here, just about injuries. I really don't have an update there on Tevin, Braxton, Montez, or Bill. That's going to take some time to assess and heal and see where they are. But again, we'll give you that update here on Wednesday. So, um, just in the team meeting today, obviously the guys were disappointed. In the result. Really proud of the guys the way they battled. From being down 0-6 in the first quarter. Guys did a really good job on defense of holding those guys to those field goals. And second quarter, we were down 9-0 at halftime. Again, the defense hung in there while the offense was working to get their rhythm. And then the third quarter there, we end up being 0-12 at the very end of that. And, Swift, pops that run, that big run at the end there, really good blocking on the perimeter, puts a little life into the whole situation there. So it's 7-12, there, with 54 seconds. And then, going into the fourth quarter, I thought we did a good job, in terms of having a couple good drives there. Obviously, the one that ended in the fumble. With Doug Kramer on the 1 yard line. Again, we're at the 1 yard line. That's a few plays there that we have from the one. That dive right there with the wedge blocking. And I love the way the guys responded to that. And I told them that, in terms of, you know, um, defense responding with a 3-and-out, and then having them punt the ball and then us taking the ball down. There are a couple really good third down conversions, one with Rome on 3rd and 10. And obviously we had the DPI on the 3rd and 5. Put the ball there at the 1 and then punch it in there on the second play. And then a really good play design on the 2-point play to Cole Kmet. Outstanding there. And then segueing into the fourth quarter there at the very end of it, we get into the situation where we're at the 35-yard line with 6 seconds and they run an out route and put themselves, in a position there to run the last play. And again, that was just time and distance right there. And then we just got to do a better job of executing, on the defensive side of the ball, the Hail Mary, and the setup for us is just have a body on a body. We're picking guys up down the field. And again, we just talked about that, in the team meeting. Tyrique's got to do a good job of putting his body on 85 and boxing him out. And, we always got to do a good job with that. And KB was the guy that was going to knock the ball down. So we got to do a good job executing in those critical moments. And we've executed that play several times. We just got to do a better job in that moment. But again, the takeaway for us from the team meeting was, great response to the slow start, defense way to keep us in there, all game long, and then way to get those scores at the very end to be able to take the lead. And then we just got to execute at the very, very end there in our EOGs into game scenarios with a better clip of execution there. So with that, I'll take questions.
First question, Courtney Cronin.
Matt, we know that Tyrique apologized for the situation where he seemed to be like drawing with fans a little bit and then got back on the play. What do you make of just that whole sequence where it didn't seem like he was locked in that moment, which was a critical one?
Yeah, I talk to the players all the time about it. It's great to have passion, and I think it's great to have that great enthusiasm for the game. I said, but it also comes to a point where your emotions go over the top, and then you lose focus. And you got to have to be able to have that balance. If you're that type of player that plays with great intensity, like Tyrique does, to be able to have that so it doesn't go over the top and you lose your focus and your concentration. That's for anybody, and each position is different. Obviously you can play at a higher temperature, if you're playing D tackle or something like that or inside, but you got to really wire into your responsibilities there as you go forward.
What's the proper discipline for a player like that in a situation like
Meaning
that?
what, Courtney?
Just, I mean, it seems like there should be consequences for an action like that. How do you see that?
Yeah, we'll look at that. Again, those things are always going to be internal as we work with our players, as we go forward. And it's really about development and making everybody better. So we'll get to that answer as we go through the week. And but again, he did address the team in a team meeting room today. And again, it was a really good moment for him to be able to do that. It showed responsibility and accountability.
Dan Weider.
Matt, just one follow-up on that, and then I have a separate question. As your coaching staff is recognizing some of the extracurricular stuff that Tyrique's engaged in before the snap is happening, how is there a possibility of potentially relaying that information? You guys had timeouts left. Was there a way to get that play stopped so that you could maybe get everybody gathered, or is that just out of the realm of possibility there?
Yeah, so from our vantage point, everybody was lined up in the correct position, and then we just were ready to go. We already had showed those diagrams, before. We were ready to go for that play. Like I said, we've practiced that, multiple times, a couple of times a week and multiple times since we've been here. So again, it comes down to wiring into your responsibilities.
And then you've also downplayed the significance of the 13 yards on the previous play. I'm curious why you've downplayed that, and it seemed like you were motioning towards Jalen to come up on that play before that play was run.
Yeah, so they're, in that particular situation, you always know that they're going to do, with 6 seconds to go at the 35, they're going to either go for the end zone there or just try to get more yards and do that. So if you want to play sideline defense, what they're going to do is they're going to convert to the Hail Mary right there and then just run everybody off the sideline. Then you got to pick them up from the sideline and do the same job that you're going to do in the Hail Mary. So, to me, we wanted to just bring them up so we wouldn't get something that's too far down the field, which was to the 48, and then we set up for a Hail Mary at the end.
But you thought that Jalen could have thrown it 70 yards there as opposed to 50?
No, it's going to land. It's going to land somewhere, but you're going to end up playing the same type of defense. It's going to land somewhere in that area, how far you can throw it, so 60, 65 yards, somewhere in there.
Kevin Fishbane. Pat.
Matt, you acknowledged last night that bringing an extra pass rusher was an option there. What role does Daniel's ability to run play in you deciding not to do that? Is it different with a mobile quarterback than somebody who's more stationary?
Yeah, I mean, it's really about just working the pass rush there and working the games that you have in there, and and keeping them in the well there, and then really just keep pursuing. You got to keep pursuing there and really just get them on the ground, and and you can't foul there at the very end either. You can't have a defensive foul. You got to make sure that you do that, and but the most important thing is just to stay after them. But in terms of the extra rusher, you could certainly do that. But again, at that position of the field, we thought that was the right thing to do.
Kevin Fishbane.
Hey, Matt, two quick ones on the last play. Was there any consideration for Montez to come in, or he'd already been deemed physically out at that point?
Yeah, Montez was out at that time with a shin, so he was out. Obviously, that we would love to have him in there because he's one of the guys that can get him and chase him down for sure. But yeah, he was out at that time.
And then, do you guys have any defensive packages? Do your offensive players ever practice coming in, whether it's like a Cole or somebody who's tall? Is that something you guys ever have at your disposal?
You mean on the defensive side?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've done that in the past for sure. But we just got to keep KB clean. He's got to be clean. We got to have a body on a body and keep him clean there. But again, like I said, I was most proud of the guys getting in that situation, to be able to play that. And again, the offensive guys say, hey, we should have never been in that situation. And I understand what they're saying there. But again, if we are in that situation, we got to execute down the stretch.
Mark Potash. Mark, you're muted. There you go.
Matt, if Tyrique was supposed to be boxing out Brown, I think that's what you said. What was he doing going to the scrum to knock the pass away?
Yeah, like I said, it's all about execution. It's about doing your job, and being at your best when your best is required. And, we just got to do a better job of coaching that and a better job of executing that as a player.
And real quick, what is TJ Edwards' responsibility in that? He looks like a waste. No offense, he looks like a wasted defender on that because, he's not really doing much. What is there? Was that an issue? Is that a problem?
No, I don't think it is. He has the back in that situation and right there, so that's what he was doing his job.
Mark Grody.
Hey man, I know you it sounded like you supported the Doug Kramer play call at the goal line, saying that you guys have worked on that and it's just 1 yard. Does that mean that Shane Waldron should feel free to call that play again in the future, or is that something that you guys now look at and say we got to pull that out of the playbook?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we always look at execution, and when things don't work, we obviously look for a different answer. But we felt good about that play. We practiced that play. Like I said, it was the first play from the one. We had other plays to go to after that. Again, we just got to be better with the execution of the handoff there.
So you guys are comfortable with, keeping that playbook? I mean, I'm not trying to get you to give stuff away, but that is something that could stay in the playbook.
I would say this, that my answer was that when things don't work, obviously you work to something else, and you go to a different piece that executes, at a higher rate. But that right there, again, we practiced it. It was good during practice, and we went with it.
Couple more, Andy.
Yeah, hi Matt. Just to follow up on what you said about Tyrique earlier. Just what was the gist of his message to the team today?
Yeah, I'm not going to get into that. I think he's meeting with y'all here in a little bit. If he wants to get into that, you can ask him that question yourself.
Okay.
Jason.
Hey, Matt, offensively, you talked yesterday about needing to find answers, keep working to finding answers. And you even suggested maybe going to the tight ends or the running backs more. Do you need to be more involved in game in the offensive play calling as a head coach?
Yeah, I mean, I'm involved in the play calling and working with those guys in between series and giving suggestions during the course of the game. And obviously when you have a start like that, it's obviously not the way you want it to go. But again, I was proud of the guys the way they did, eventually work into there and find some good answers there, into the third quarter, into the fourth quarter to put us in winning position. So the guys did a nice job of that, being able to figure that out through it. Again, we have to come to that answer much faster. But again, defense kept us in it with a bunch of field goals, 4 field goals, 12 points, with one of the best scoring teams in football at this time. So I was proud of those guys for that. And then us responding there and scoring that at the very end to be able to put us in a winning position.
Last one, Dan.
Matt, back to the Kramer play. Given the amount of weapons you have in your offense, given how successful Roshan has been down near the goal line, why would that ever be the first option of a play you'd run down there to put the ball in an offensive lineman's hand?
Yeah, like I said, we've practiced it. It looked good in practice, and that's what we went with. And we just got to execute that handoff better and then push it in there for the touchdown. So again, if it didn't work on that particular one, we're going to go to the next one.
Great. Thank you, Coach.
Yep.
Courtney.
Hey, Cole, Flus just told us that Tyrique addressed the team today and took responsibility for what had happened on the Hail Mary. What was his message to you guys in terms of holding himself accountable on that?
Yeah, well, I mean, from Tyrique, just kind of stood up and, in a way said that what he did was unacceptable, and that he's got to be on the P's and Q's there, and which we all appreciate. I think unfortunately in that scenario, he's a guy, gets caught with somebody with a camera, and obviously the result of the play that happens and all those type of things. But I think it's a really a good lesson for everybody to learn from in terms of how to respect the game. And I think we had examples of that throughout the game, and quite frankly throughout the week of practice this past week, where there's moments where maybe some guys lay off here and there, and those are the type of things that can happen when you do that for just a split second. And it doesn't always come to bite you in the butt, but when it does, it hurts. And that's the unfortunate, and I would also say beauty of this game is that you disrespect it in a certain way, and it'll come to haunt you in some form or fashion. So I think it's a learning experience for everybody. We all play with a lot of passion. Tyrique plays with a lot of passion, and we all love him for that. But there's definitely a respect level of the game, and knowing that you got to finish it out until those double zeros at the clock.
Dan.
Cool. I've got a separate question, but when you said there's moments in practice where people lay off, what do you mean? Just wanted to clarify what you were saying.
Yeah, it's more of a general thing. I'm not necessarily whether it's how you operate in the weight, and this is all like things done in the dark, things that you know personally. And that's like if you're in the weight room, are you doing all 6 reps or are you doing 5 reps and getting out of there? Are you, when you're out on the field, are you getting the jugs after practice? Are you doing this? Or is your footwork correct in the walkthrough? And just those little things that can't necessarily always be addressed by a coach or another teammate, but things that you do in the dark that really come to fruition on game day. And I think that's what respecting the game is. And if you relentlessly respect the game, I think you'll get the results that you want. And unfortunately, if you get caught disrespecting the game in some form or fashion, it does come to get you at some point.
I know yesterday you were trying to keep a healthy perspective on the day. When you go back and you see those last 2 offensive drives, what do you think the significance was, given the moment, given how bumpy it had been for 3 quarters, that you guys were able to put together those two drives to finish?
Yeah, I think it's big. I mean, I still won't look past that. I think what I was saying about the process of things is what we have to be obsessed with. And look, we played terrible football offensively for 2.5, 3 quarters, or whatever that was. It was not good. And as players, we did not execute well at all, and we need to be better. And the plays were out there, but we gotta execute better, and that's just plain and simple. So. We got to be better in that regard, but to have the resiliency and to have our defense keep playing the way they were playing to keep us in the game, and then for us to respond down 2 scores to come back and take the lead with whatever 20 something seconds left, I think is a great thing and something that we can build on going forward. It just obviously the result wasn't what we want, and like I said last night, we are in a results-based league, so it is what it is. But we got to be able to move on from it and move on to Arizona.
Alex?
Hey, Cole. Throughout the process, you guys have talked about this wanting to be a player-led team. So after a loss like that, after moments like that, what are the ways in which you guys in the locker room need to hold each other accountable? What does that look like from your end, from a player-led standpoint?
Well, I think it's a reminder. It's first reminding everybody that we're all pulling in the same direction. We don't want anybody pulling against each other. We're pulling in the same direction, but coming with that, we understand that, there's an accountability aspect to that. And I think it starts first individually, what I was talking about earlier with what you do in the dark and how you operate when nobody's looking, and what are you doing off the field? What are you doing in the weight room? How are you doing your nutrition? All those things lead into Sunday, and all those things go into respecting the game. So I think starting individually, that's important. Having individual accountability is big, and that's a hard thing to have, quite frankly, but you got to be able to look inwardly all the time and have that individual accountability. And then I think going into your rooms, I think for us, for me in the tight end room, like we want to be the best tight end room in the league. And we want to be the guys that when we look on tape that we're doing our jobs consistently, doing what we got to do, playing and play out, and making sure that we're always doing things the right way and that we're leading by example in that direction. So, I think guys across the leadership and, all the captains that are in those rooms, it's just going to be on us to lead those guys and set the standard in those rooms and let everybody else follow.
Mark?
Hey, Cole. There have been Bears teams you probably know. There have been Bears teams in the past where games like this have chipped away at the culture and the belief in the coaching staff, where coaching decisions are at the forefront. And I'm just curious, not broken it, but just kind of chipped away, planted a seed of doubt, that kind of thing. Is this kind of game a test of the culture that you guys, really thrive on?
Sure. I think it's always a test when you come out of a loss. I guess what I'd say to that, when you lose, it's your initial feeling, I think, as anybody, is to want to deflect blame or point fingers elsewhere. But we got done watching the tape. I've watched the tape now 5 or 6 times. We as players did not play well in that game. We have to execute better. We have to be better in all facets, and we just weren't good enough. There were plays out there. So all those things were there for the taking, but we just didn't execute well enough throughout the majority of the game. Now, down the stretch, we did some good things and they were able to get back in it. But I thought the plan that we had offensively was good. We just didn't execute very well. So I don't think any of us really came away from that game having any less faith in the coaching staff and what we got going on here or the culture that we have growing. At the end of the day, it just came down to one play, and unfortunately, the ball just literally bounced their way at the final seconds.
Thanks.
Colleen?
Hey, Cole. Obviously, we've talked to you guys on offense quite a bit about needing to get off to better starts.
Mhm.
And obviously, yesterday went beyond just a slow start. But
Yeah.
what do you guys see as some solutions to making sure the offense gets rolling earlier in games?
Yeah, I mean, you can, focus on it all you want, and it's been a focus for us, but at the end of the day, it just comes down to executing these plays. It's really plain and simple as that, and we didn't execute early in the game. We got to be better on our execution and trust our rules. Maybe you get a funky look here and there, but you got to trust the rules within the scheme and within the play, and just go out and execute and play fast. And look, there's gonna be times where they get you defensively with a look, and we don't get the exact look you want for a play you have up, but there'll be answers on plays, or there'll be an ability to get the 2-yard gain and get to that 2nd and 8 and just live to fight another down. But I think it's just minimizing those type of mistakes there, and it just comes down to execution, and that's just got to be the focus going forward.
Last one, Pat.
Well, you said either last week or when we were in London that you guys were making mistakes, but you had the talent to overcome it. And while
Sure.
the talent part was nice, the mistakes you were afraid would catch up and bite you in the butt. Is this an example of that actually happening? And if so, do you have did you have a feeling that something like this might be due? Maybe not a Hail Mary, but some execution issues.
Yeah, I mean, back to your first question, I definitely think so, and I think what got us back in it was our talent. We had we have some good players that can make some really great plays, and that's kind of what got us back in it. But again, that's the separation between when we play these better teams, like you got to be on your stuff with the execution standpoint. And if we're on our execution standpoint for 2 or 3 more plays there in the game, we come out with the win. So yeah, that's that I think that is what kind of came up. But what was your second question, Pat? I'm sorry.
Sorry, Pat. There you
go. Did you have a sense that something like this was in this dramatic of a fashion, but could you feel that, when you said out loud, like, hey, this may come back to hurt us at some point?
Yeah.
Was that just a general feeling, or did you feel it heading in that direction?
No, I didn't feel necessarily heading it. It just I think it's the fact of reality. If you're not on it all the time consistently, and it goes back to what I was saying earlier, if you're not continually respecting the game, and you're not operating at a high level from an individual standpoint, you're going to be caught in a position with your pants down, for lack of a better term. And that happens. I mean, that happens in everyday life, and that sure as heck happens in football, and it happens in sports all the time. So it'll come to get you. It just will. And I mean, did I think we were going to lose on a Hail Mary? Absolutely not. And at the end, the name of the play says it all itself. It's a prayer, and their prayer was answered last night. So it is what it is, and it's unfortunate, but now it's time to move on and set forth on Arizona.
Thank you, Cole.
Thanks, guys.
Dan, start it off.
KB, thanks for jumping on. Just wanted to clarify some details on the Hail Mary again. You guys obviously have 7 defenders back against 4 receivers. It sounds like you've got the 4 receivers manned up. You're the guy responsible for jumping. Tremaine is up front doubling on McLaurin. And then is there supposed to be another guy specifically somewhere out of that grouping?
Yeah, so it's something we do practice throughout the week. Every week it's a little different because as far as Tremaine, who's the double guy, so he may be aligned on whoever's the double guy. Obviously, McLaurin was to the single side where Jalen was, and that's also something that we kind of didn't execute right because they were supposed to be flipped. Even though he ended up getting to the double guy, Tremaine and Elijah Hicks were supposed to be flipped, and so Elijah is supposed to be the back guy because it's supposed to double McLaurin in the front. Elijah's supposed to be, kind of the back tip guy, but at the same time, obviously, Coach spoke about it already. Everybody was pretty much boxing out. 85 was the guy who obviously caught the ball at the end. He was not being boxed out. I'm supposed to be the jumper. I'm supposed to kind of have a free, jump, kind of like volleyball, to tip the ball back down. And even looking at it from the film, and I felt it during the play. Obviously, it was a long developing play. I didn't really have an opportunity to jump, honestly, because I think it was 85 who was kind of pushing me from behind. So I couldn't really get a clean jump. But at the end of the day, it's a tough way to lose. You never know what's going to be the play, but I always kind of look at it whereas though like we shouldn't have been in that playing that situation in the first place. There's a lot of plays that we could point to during that game, defensively, offense, special teams, whatever it may be, to whereas though we don't have to be defending the last play Hail Mary to lose the game like that. Obviously, it was an exciting game, playoff atmosphere. But yeah, obviously, I know Tyrique has kind of, been getting hammered, rather if it was social media and obviously been in meetings and things like that. But I'm gonna support my guy. I think for him, it's going to be a great lesson for him just as we go forward throughout the season and just in life period. You know what I mean? Just, how to be able to handle this adversity. And you only lose when you don't learn. And I think he's going to learn from it and we'll get better from it.
As a captain, KB, how do you help him gather himself, understanding that one, he's an emotional player, and two, that there's a lot coming at him from the outside right now?
Yeah, like I said, man, it's life, like if, if any of you is, have any children or anything like that, if your children does something that you're disappointed in or you don't like, does not mean that that's not your child anymore. You know what I mean? You still love them. You still love on them. You can chastise them. You can hold them accountable, but you still love them at the end of the day. And Tyrique is our brother. He's my brother. And I will continue to love on him and support him. And like I said, I know it's going to be a lesson learned from him, and I believe that he'll learn from this lesson. And he addressed the team without anybody asking, and kind of said his piece and said what he needed to say. And I thought it was a great message, just apologizing and saying that he wasn't locked in and things like that. So that just shows growth right there within itself. So that's all you can hope for in a situation like that. And like you said, we'll continue to support him.
Courtney?
Kevin, Matt Eberflus talked about the play before that, the 13-yard reception to McLaurin, and said that was, the right call there. Like, how could that, from your perspective, how could that play have been defended better?
Yeah, I mean, I had a discussion with Flus about it. He has his feelings about it. I think it's a lot of different ways you can defend those plays. Me personally, I think that in that scenario, possibly could have had the corners pressed up there because they just ran two outcuts and the play was called just to get a couple more yards to throw it down the field. If you had the guys pressed up, maybe they convert to verticals and they actually run the Hail Mary. But even if they do that and our corners run with those guys, I'm not saying he doesn't have the arm strength, but you think about the ball maybe landing 10 yards shorter and it may be a little different. I'm not saying that we don't know. It's always, looking back at it, woulda, coulda, shoulda. But, at the end of the day, things happen the way it happened. Could we have sent pressure? Maybe, you know what I mean? But he made the call, and, that's what it was.
Mark?
Hi, Kevin. Just a follow-up to that question by Courtney right there. When you discuss that with him, is he receptive to your side? And were there other players who were kind of thinking the same thing along the same lines that you were?
No, I mean, I just brought it up. I was just kind of discussing it about it. But yeah, he's receptive. Of course he is. I feel like he's been receptive of all the leadership and the things that we've had to say and things like that. And I wasn't bringing up to him like, hey, we should have did this or whatever. I was just kind of going through it, just saying like, I guess looking at from future references, you know what I'm saying? If something was to happen like that again, possibly that's a route that we take. But, he was, obviously receptive and, Fluk's been doing this for a long time, obviously longer than me. So, like I said, I've been in different places. Everybody has a different end of game type of deal. And so that's kind of something I was just kind of discussing with him.
And then just one more question on you said, Tyrique Stevenson addressed the team without being prompted. Right after he addresses the team, do you guys go up to him? Do you guys ask him questions? Is it done? It's over, and you guys all walk out? What is the immediate reaction after Tyrique Stevenson addresses the team?
No, I mean, it was in the middle of our team meeting, and no, it's not necessarily like obviously we all go to our unit meetings, position meetings, and things like that. But no, man, like I said, I've always been supportive of Tyrique. We've obviously, even during training camp, whatever it may be, times we're joking around, I'm always, on his case. Because he's a young guy, I'm the older vet, so I'm always trying to make sure he's locked in on things like that. But, nah, it's honestly just one of those things where, maybe you had planned to say something to him, but the fact that he got up there and kind of owned up to his mistake and owned up to, what he felt he needed to do better, it's one of those things like nothing else need to be said. You know what I mean? Like obviously this guy probably ain't getting no sleep last night. You don't want to, kind of beat a dead horse, you know what I mean? It's like he owned up to his mistakes. He's a grown man, we're all grown, and we'll just move forward. We're not gonna keep dwelling on, the same stuff. He owned up to it, and that's all you can hope for.
Last two. Dan?
Kevin, you've been around the league a long time. You said last night that you've never really experienced a loss like that. In your mind, what is the proper way to kind of get past this, to process it all, to address everything that needs to be addressed and get moving forward the most productive way possible?
Yeah, I think today was just the day that, like I just said, we had a leadership meeting. Tyrique said we need to say we had our team meeting. You get everything out. You know what I mean? If it's something that, like I said, to something that I've discussed with Flus or anything like that, like get it out there just to put it out there because you don't want to have anything festering within the locker room, within yourself, that may come out at a later point. You know what I mean? You get everything out, you say your piece, say what needs to be said. Then after that, you look forward. We look forward to Arizona. Like it's the 24-hour rule. Maybe you need 36 hours. You know what I mean? We don't have our first day until Wednesday. Maybe it's 48. Whatever you need to do to get it all out your system, that's what you do. And you move forward, you get on the film, and because at the end of the day, you know what I mean? Like we are in a results-based business, but our process, I feel like our process is good. So I think you had to start it all over, just how you did early in the week, preparation and things like that. You just start your process over again. And as a leader and as leaders on the team, we had to make sure everybody's, is being held to that. And we're not on Wednesday still talking about, comments and social media and stuff like that from this past game. We flush it, we keep going. Nobody's gonna feel sorry for us. We got to go out there and win a game on the West Coast.
Last one, Mark.
Hey, Kevin, sorry to belabor the Tyrique situation, but he's an interesting guy. And I'm just curious if you've played with guys like him who, their edginess, their attitude, that's their fuel. That makes them who they are. But yet, if you overdo it, it's obviously a detriment. Is there any way as a teammate, I know it's a coach's responsibility, but as a teammate, is there any way to manage that for him to get the most out of him so that he doesn't, go overboard and hurt his career?
Yeah, I mean, every player is unique. You know what I mean? I'm not going to compare Tyrique to any other player I've played with. You're always going to have edgy guys on the team. You're always going to have calm guys. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have a different mixture. I mean, we all come from different places, different backgrounds, ethnicities, and things like that. So guys are going to be different. I just say just for Tyrique and just any player, including myself, you just want to be the best version of yourself, whatever that looks like. Every player is in a different point in their career when it comes to maturation. When I was a younger player, I was a little bit more emotional. Now I'm older. I've seen more. I've seen a lot. Maybe I'm a little bit more even keeled than maybe I was when I was in year two. So everybody has their own process. And for Tyrique, I just want him to try to be the best version of himself. You know what I mean? Don't, continue to show your emotion and things that he's done over his life has gotten him to this point. Don't change everything. Don't change who you are. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, you just grow from, these situations. You grow from, the good. You keep the stuff that's good, and you grow from the stuff that may have been not so great. So, but yeah, I'm not going to compare him to any other player because I think he's very unique in the things that he can do as a player. And, his emotions, I feel like you have to channel those things to make sure he's continuing to trying to do positive things.
Thanks so much, KB.
Yep.
Dan?
Tyrique, thanks for coming in today. Appreciate it. When you reflect back on yesterday afternoon, what do you regret most from that final sequence?
honestly just letting my teammates down in a situation that we pretty much know how to handle on any day, pretty much with our eyes closed. So I would say the only regret I have from yesterday is just letting this team down from, working hard and coming back and putting ourselves in a W column, and just for me to be out of place and do something that's out of character of me and just cost us a loss. So.
What's your process now of kind of gathering yourself emotionally and also dealing with what is going to be kind of a tsunami of outside criticism?
Can't worry about it, honestly. My my focus is on this building and how the people in this building feel. I understand there's anger. I understand, somebody ticket. I understand that the things that go outside of the building that could, possibly affect how somebody feels and all that. But, to be honest, I'm worried about the opinion of the building. And if these guys got my back, and that's how I'm moving forward.
Pat?
Tyrique, it looks like in the video that you're talking to fans as the ball is snapped. And then Matt said today that your obligation was to go box out Noah Brown.
Mm-hmm.
When you run in and you leap, are you trying to make an interception? Are you trying to bat the ball down? And is doing that related at all to trying to kind of prove a point or anything like that?
Nah. The play was I supposed to box out 85. That the other play was cheering with some Bears fans, wasn't taunting no fans. It was just cheering with some Bears fans, and the Washington fans reacted how they wanted to. And my job was to box out 85. And, when I went up to hit the ball, it's pretty much to knock it down. Interceptions especially in a close game like that. So just try to make a play for my team. And, it either could have went, oh, Tyrique, good pass, knocked down, or we're in the situation we're in right now.
When the ball, your back was turned to the ball when it was snapped, what was your thought process when you turned around and you saw receivers running down the field?
Pretty much just getting in my space and on my space.
Courtney?
Tyrique, when you get to the locker room, and when you get on the plane, what was that experience like?
It's like every other loss, quiet. Everybody to themselves, trying to figure out what each individual could have did better to, help the team win. So pretty much like any other loss.
KB told us just like a couple minutes ago that he's, he views it as his responsibility to like pick you up in these moments. What has the response been from your teammates today?
Just pretty much just picking me up. Because at the end of the day, if this happened to anybody else or anything else would have went down like this for any other teammate, we all would have been there just for him, just as they're doing for me. So a lot of encouraging words from the guys, a lot of love, and a lot of pick your heads up, and let's focus on next week. So great energy coming from the team. Can't ask for nothing better.
Colleen?
Tyrique, Matt told us this morning that you addressed the team in a team meeting. How did that come about, and what message did you want to give to your teammates?
Honestly, I honestly don't feel like I should publicly share what intimate side of me that I share with the guys, because I let them down, and them guys hold me to a high standard, such as everybody in this building. But to give you the brief message, just I apologize to them boys for letting them down. I let the moment get too big. And it's something that, can never happen again and won't ever happen again.
Mark?
To the coaching side of it, Tyrique, what have the coaches said, and have, beyond telling you shouldn't have done that, are there any consequences for it beyond that?
I don't think there's no consequences as of right now. We haven't met with the coaches yet. We've been going over film and doing walkthroughs and trying to get everything corrected. So honestly, I can't give you no details on that, but
Mark Potash?
Hey, Tyrique, How do you play with an edge like you do, but not overdo it like you've also done? How tricky is that for you? Do you think that's kind of a maturity thing that you need to go through, or just something? How do you improve on that? How do you, without taking away the edginess that makes you who you are? How do you kind of refine that?
I don't think it has nothing to do with my level of play. I think it's more of a mental part of the game that that I should improve on, far as just not figuring out, as like understanding that the game ain't over till all zeros on the clock, no matter if we up by 30 or we up by 1 point, So I would just say probably the mental game of just staying locked in through the whole 60 minutes instead of, just, 58 minutes. The game could come down to any type of play, such as it did yesterday. And, I got to realize that this is NFL.
Alex?
Hey, Tyrique, after the unnecessary roughness penalty, is there ever a moment to yourself where you're thinking, I'm revving up too high here, I've got to dial it in? Or does anybody approach you and say, hey, you got to lock in here after that penalty?
Oh, yeah, no, there's always correction after a penalty like that. It's just, being a football player and being on the field and having your emotions and adrenaline pumping, sometimes things will get a little bit out of character. And, if it happens to me, if it happens to any other guys, we always, quick to nip it in the bud and let each other know, like, that ain't who we are and that ain't our standard. So a couple guys let me know I got to keep my cool. And, at some point, I got to keep my cool.
Last one, Dan.
Tyrique, Mark asked you a couple minutes ago about consequences. Being part of this team, when the standard is violated, what is the sense of accountability? What should be the accountability from one teammate to another in situations like this?
Pretty much what's going on now. You can't do nothing. You can't take back the game. It was yesterday. I understand the emotions and how everything flared up, but pretty much anything that a teammate could do is pretty much just point out the problem, address it how they feel it, and if I don't respect that teammate, then I take it a certain way. But I respect all these guys and I love all these guys, so all I can do is take it on the chin and let them boys know that this won't ever happen again. They ain't got to worry about me playing out a character like that again.
Thank you so much, Tyrique.
Thank you.